clearly the people that turned on Laura first were the staffers. And then it looks like Trump may have turned on her too. And so she's all up in her feelings. She was so close to power, she could taste it. Lord only knows what else she was doing with Trump. And now she's on the outs. And so, boom, it's total jihad.
Last week, some of Trump's staffers began warning Trump about Laura Loomer and the threat she posed to the campaign. NBC's Kristen Welker and Alexandria Marquez wrote an article quoting several Trump staffers regarding Loomer. Donald Trump allies are worried that the former president's ties to right-wing activist Laura Loomer could cost him votes in key battleground states. Laura has since been exploding on the Republican Party, tweeting the following on X, all within the same day. "What does the Republican Party do for me? They have never done anything for me. I do everything for myself." Someone posted, "I can't name a single accomplishment the Republican Party has had in the last 4 years." Laura replied, "Same here. If Republicans keep the House and take back the Senate, it won't be because they deserve it. It will only be because they rode the coattails of Donald Trump. Not a single Republican is happy with the GOP. They have done nothing over the past 4 years if we are being honest." Have you noticed how unbothered 99% of GOP lawmakers are tonight about Mike Johnson dropping the ball on the SAVE Act? These people just aren't passionate about supporting Donald Trump. It's sad to see them all use him, but not even lift a finger to help him. He deserves better. And finally, Republicans love losing for the sake of pretending they like each other. Let's get to know Laura a little bit more by listening and reacting to her interview with Luke Beasley.
Today, I will be speaking with Laura Loomer. She is a far-right political personality and avid supporter of Donald Trump, former Republican nominee for Florida's 21st Congressional District and former congressional candidate in Florida's 11th District. She's been banned from numerous social media outlets for disinformation and hate speech, as well as being banned from Uber, Lyft, PayPal, GoFundMe, and Venmo.
I just want to take a second and ask, how the hell does someone get banned from Venmo, PayPal, Uber, and GoFundMe? Does anyone out there know someone who has been banned from any one of these organizations, let alone all of them?
How would you summarize what motivates your support of Donald Trump?
Well, I care about my country, and I want somebody who is going to represent the people, not the corporate interests.
Trump cut taxes for corporations from an average effective tax rate of 22% to 12.8%. From 2018 to 2021, the largest 296 companies paid $240 billion less than they would have before. This was a permanent change, unlike the individual tax cuts for average working people that expire in 2025. The tax cuts for corporations did not benefit workers, and wage increases are not clear from available data. Basically, the owners of the corporations just pocketed the money, and now the federal government gets less tax revenue.
We shouldn't take a loyalty to a Republican Party. We shouldn't take a loyalty to a Democrat Party. We should be loyal to the Constitution and the principles and the values that make our country great.
You agree, though, he did post on Truth Social that he was supportive of terminating the Constitution?
No.
The principles and values that make America great include the voting system and Constitution, which are things Trump has wanted to destroy. Don't forget when Trump tweeted the following. So, with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud, deception, and closely working with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democratic Party, do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner? Or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections.
It's not about whether you are, a Republican or a Democrat. Those terms are used to divide us.
That's exactly right, Laura. Those terms are used to divide us, and you are one of the best at doing so. You recently said if Kamala is elected, the White House will smell like curry and collard greens. Frankly speaking, that does sound delicious.
Well, I think that President Trump, as I just said, is trying to highlight the fact that we have a constitutional crisis in our country.
So terminate it? Come on.
No, I think that he's trying to show the absurdity of the fact that our constitutional rights and our liberties are not being upheld. They're being completely bastardized and defiled by widespread election fraud.
When people say that MAGA is a cult because they just support everything Trump says no matter what, it's moments like this where it's right there on the page or on the screen. Terminate all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, and then that's actually him saying, let's strengthen the Constitution.
Luke is exactly right here. Trump supporters who exhibit cult-like behavior often display several characteristics that align with cult dynamics. Unwavering loyalty, resistance to criticism, belief in Trump's infallibility, only he can fix things, and apocalyptic thinking. Only Trump can save us.
Do you think that those people should be serving 20 years in prison?
Right, so that's the conflation. No one got 20 years for being
Yes, they did.
peaceful.
Yes, they did. I
That's just
currently
not true.
work with a group called NCLU that's representing dozens of January 6ers, and there are
Who
people
attacked the
that have
Capitol,
been
yes.
that are being sentenced to over 20 years in prison.
Yes, like
For
Enrique
simply walking
Tarrio.
inside. You have Enrique Tarrio wasn't even in Washington D.C. on
And he
January
had
6th.
put
Are you
together
aware
a
of that?
plan for his organization to overthrow the American government.
According to Justice.gov, ABC News, and NPR, the data collected shows that more than 1,265 individuals have been charged with federal crimes related to the January 6th insurrection. 192 have been given prison sentences over 1 year for felonies involving assaulting, impeding, obstructing, or interfering with law enforcement during the civil disorder. The 4 notable cases involve Enrique Tarrio, who has the harshest sentence of 22 years for planning and instructing many things that happened with the Proud Boys. Founder of Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes, was sentenced with 18 years. An unnamed individual received a 14-year prison sentence for assaulting a police officer, and David Nicholas Dempsey was sentenced to 20 years for repeatedly attacking police officers.
No, he
That's called
didn't. I
seditious
attended the
conspiracy.
trial. He was not even at. He was not. How do you overthrow the government if you're not even in Washington D.C. or inside the Capitol on
So
January
leaders
6th?
of drug organizations who never deliver a single thing of drugs, are
What
they
did
actually
Enrique
doing their
Tarrio
crimes?
do? What did he do?
He coordinated. They found the memo where he planned to overthrow the government and led his Proud Boys organization to do so.
He didn't lead anybody. He wasn't even in Washington D.C. on January 6th.
I feel like I just addressed that point.
He wasn't in Washington D.C. on January 6th.
So I go back to, if you're the
You have
leader
to- you
of a
have- in
drug
this country, our
organization,
justice
an
system-
illegal
our-
drug organization, have you not committed any crimes
Our
because you did
justice
everything over the
system-
phone?
Our justice system finds people innocent or guilty based off of their own actions, whether they themselves participated in something. He was not in Washington D.C. on January 6th. He did not step foot inside.
Okay,
the Capitol.
Laura.
No, this is
This
is crazy to say that he tried to overthrow the government with what? You would have to use weapons to overthrow the United States government. This is ridiculous.
his minions did at his direction. So if I hired
Did what at his direction? Did what?
attempted
Did they
to overthrow the American government. They tried to and failed.
Overthrow the United States
So
government?
great, they're incompetent. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be charged with attempting to do something bad.
The jury found that Tarrio was guilty after hearing and reviewing evidence for 3 whole months. The Proud Boys were definitely trying to orchestrate a plot to attack the U.S. Capitol and attempting to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power following the 2020 U.S. presidential election.
They think that people who go to school boards are domestic terrorists. They think that white, conservative, Christian Americans are the biggest terrorism threat in this country. That's what Merrick Garland said.
There is no evidence that Merrick Garland ever made such a statement about white conservative Christian Americans being the biggest terrorist threat in America, or targeting parents at school board meetings as terrorists. The claim is a mischaracterization of Garland's actions from the following. In 2021, Garland issued a memo directing the FBI to work with local law enforcement to address threats being made against school board members and educators. The memo was in response to reports of increased harassment and threats of violence against school officials. Garland explicitly stated that the memo was aimed at addressing violence and threats of violence, not at parents exercising their right to protest at school board meetings. Garland has repeatedly emphasized that the memo was not about targeting parents or labeling them as domestic terrorists. If you like this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe to help my channel grow. Thank you.